Well, the virus has now killed more than 100 people in China, and new cases have been confirmed around the world.
So you don't want to frighten the American public.
France and South Korea have also got evacuation plans.
But you need to prepare for and assume
strongly warning Americans to avoid all non-essential travel to China.
That this is going to be a real serious problem.
France, Australia, Canada, the US, Singapore, Cambodia, Vietnam, the list goes on.
Health officials are investigating more than 100 possible cases in the U.S.
Germany, a man has contracted the virus.
The epidemic is a demon, and we cannot let this demon hide.
Japan, where a bus driver contracted the virus.
Coronavirus has killed more than 100 people there and infected more than 4,500.
We have to prepare for the worst, always, because if you don't and the worst happens.
War Room Pandemic. Here's your host, Stephen K. Bannon.
And then, courtesy of the Chinese Communist Party, the virus struck. The president quickly took action and shut down travel from China. Joe Biden and his Democrat allies called my father a racist and a xenophobe for doing it. They put political correctness ahead of the safety and security of the American people.
Joe Biden and the socialist left would be a disaster for our economy. But President Trump is leading a new era of opportunity. Before Communist China gave us the coronavirus, we were breaking economic records left and right. The pandemic has set us back, but not for long. President Trump brought our economy back before, and he will bring it back again.
He supported the worst trade deals in the history of the planet. He voted for the NAFTA nightmare. Down the tubes went our auto industry. He pushed for TPP. Goodbye, manufacturing jobs. Beijing Biden is so weak on China that the intelligence community recently assessed that the Chinese Communist Party favors Biden. They know he'll weaken us both economically and on a world stage.
Live from the nation's capital. Finally hit my mark here. 25 August, year of our Lord 2020. You're in the War Room Pandemic. Stephen K. Bannon, Raheem Kassam, Jack Maxey, Vish Burrow, and the team. Episode 351, over 13 million downloads. Also live on the John Fredericks Radio Network, the booming radio network of the deplorables, on AmericasVoice.news, the streaming service, now Dish Channel 219 of the Trump Revolution, Newsmax TV, Chris Ruddy and the team over there, now in 70 million homes. And, of course, in Mandarin, later in the day on GTV and G News, and every other distribution platform possible, Pluto TV, Facebook everywhere. We got Facebook pages going everywhere. So you can see this. I guess we're ubiquitous, right? Not too bad having a like a rash. Okay, so we played the open. They played the cold open to show that. And I think you got to give a hat tip to Ronna McDaniel with the RNC and to the campaign yesterday. You know, political leads with you got the two voices for the fight for the soul. It's not a fight for the soul. There's a coming together. For victory. You've got the more establishment Republicans. You've got Don Jr. and obviously the Matt Gaetz, the fire breathers, the populist nationalists. But if you pay attention, if you look for the signal, not the noise, what unites both of them? The Chinese Communist Party and the understanding of what they've done to our country, calling it the CCP virus, the virus that came from the Chinese Communist Party. And today we're going to have Dr. Yan with Jack Maxey later in the hour. Bill McGinley, former Secretary of the Cabinet in the Trump administration, is going to be here to talk about uniting the two sides. We've got tons of clips, tons of analysis, a lot to do in the pandemic. There's breaking news of vaccines in China. There's breaking news of plasma here, and now the FDA is being jumped on. So, and we want to go back to Joe Biden's pandemic plan, but a lot going on. But we got to start with the convention last night. And guys, I want you to jump in here. Other clips we've got to play. A historic night tonight, I might say. Mike Pompeo, the first time as Secretary of State in modern history. He's doing it in a personal capacity. He is in Jerusalem, so that'll be quite symbolic. Mike Pompeo is going to be up tonight. Plus Miriam Mendoza from the Angel Moms. So you're going to have, and you got some establishment figures. Night 2 is going to be fantastic. We'll get to that later in the show. But I want to put it out here first of the general assessment. I asked John Fredericks earlier in the morning what were his thoughts. I know John on the John Fredericks Radio Network has I think the best field of deplorables. He said they thought it was a 9 out of 10. And what I liked about it most was the how dynamic it was. It seemed like it was more dynamic and had more of a Hollywood kind of flair to it than the Democrats, who are supposed to be the party of Hollywood. Raheem, Jack, Vish, thoughts, observations, context.
The production value was definitely higher than the Democratic convention, which to me, Steve, actually I found shocking too. I guess Vish's comment the other day that Harvey's in jail may have something to do with it. But the one thing that I found very troubling is how we keep describing them as socialists, and that socialism is the danger. I think that's too soft, Steve. I don't see Norwegian and Swedish and Danish socialists.
We got Tim
in the
Scott.
street
We got Tim Scott. Let's go to Tim Scott. I thought Tim Scott. Tim Scott and Nikki Haley, I think, performed their roles perfectly, which is more establishment figures, more traditional conservatives, and to show people that, hey, this party, and particularly the Trump movement and back to this party, is accommodating and diverse and not just diverse ethnicity and everything like that. I think more importantly, diverse for ideas. Do we have Tim Scott? Let's play Tim Scott on the Cultural Revolution.
Let's roll it.
Our side is working on policy, while Joe Biden's radical Democrats are trying to permanently transform what it means to be an American. Make no mistake, Joe Biden and Kamala Harris want a cultural revolution, a fundamentally different America. If we let them, they will turn our country into a socialist utopia. And history has taught us that path only leads to pain and misery, especially for hardworking people hoping to rise.
Cultural revolution. I mean, they're listening, right? That was a fantastic, I think, fantastic hit right there.
I think if you want to talk about the Obama restoration project here and trying to tie Joe Biden with that, what did we hear? What was part of the first speech that President-elect Obama gave in 2008? What was the pivotal moment in that? The fundamental transformation of America was the key line in that. And if you're going to harken back to the Obama restoration plan, this must also be understood by everybody who's voting, that this is a cultural revolution that they look to invigorate and bring back to the forefront.
Well, I want to just comment on the convention in general.
Yeah.
I mean, Jack noted the production value differential, but the point here was,
did you think there was a production value differential?
It was a massive differential, but the point is the bar wasn't very high. I mean, no kidding. The Democrats filmed a lot of their stuff on their own phones. There's sort of B-roll and behind the scenes showing them doing it on their own devices. I'm not sure whether that was an intentional move by the Democratic Party to try and look more in touch with the every person who's struggling to call into their offices using Zoom nowadays. Anyway, whatever happened, it failed. And the Republican Party actually looked like they put on a show. I mean, I felt like I was watching a show last night. I felt gripped. I didn't want to walk away from the television even to make a cup of tea or whatever. I wanted to be there and see who the next one was and the next one was, and the timing was right and the pacing was right. It was like the Republican Party had professional Hollywood producers teaching them how to do this. And the content was absolutely pitch perfect. I mean, there were one or two tweaks that I would have made, but the actual flow and the rhythm of it was perfect. You had one person talking about an issue, and it just naturally molded into the next one. It wasn't this kind of piecemeal, jumping around kind of thing that the Democrats had. And so the social media reaction, the reaction amongst our audience, the reaction amongst many of my friends was, we really didn't know the RNC could do something like that, had it in them, and they deserve full marks for pulling off a great show.
I think there's a combo of the RNC and the campaign. I think it's hat-tip to both. I think Ronna McDaniel and Jason Miller, Bill stepping over the campaign, the production people. It had a gloss to it. It had a tempo to it. I think also, this decision, and they decided not to have people. They walk into that cavernous hall, and, I thought because it gave the camera a chance to pull back, it looked, because in the Democratic thing, it looked like the camera was right up on top of them. They're in a small room. Yeah. Every production decision, I think, was fantastic, and it had a flow to it, it had a tempo to it.
It wasn't overproduced.
But it was not overproduced, but it was produced enough.
Right.
That's what I thought. And look, this is very difficult. You've never had, obviously some of the speakers were projecting more in more of a convention type manner. Others were talking more intimately to the camera. They took some risks that I thought the risk to put the gentleman from Cuba about Castro in the primetime hour on network is a thought through decision. That clearly you're trying to get a message across about Venezuela and Cuba and what we're looking at, and I think he hit it out of the park. Nikki, I think one of the messages I took and watched the thing last night is what unites these various factions. I thought for Nikki Haley and Don Jr., the one point of context that got it right there is obviously America First national security policy. The CCP sent the virus here. That took the Strivers economy, as Kimberly Guilfoyle called it. Steve Cortez's great phrase, chop block the Strivers economy. But it showed unity. Remember, you have to win in a coalition. I think it was, and it's just opening night, but I think it contextualized. What I was most impressed with is the energy. It didn't come out as low energy, right? Which I thought the Democrats came as low energy, dour, etc. A couple of tells on that. Number one, and here's the biggest tell for the audience. By the way, we want to hear everything you have to say on #WarRoomPandemic. We also want to go to the live stream. We want your feedback. We want your observations. We're going to get some of them here. Questions you have, we'll get it all in here. The two biggest tells, I thought, were the mainstream media's maniacal focus on fact-checking, right? That's a tell. When they got to sit there and get this snarky kind of, when has that ever happened in an American political convention ever? Where they got to sit there like a schoolmarm, with the ruler going to hit you on the knuckles on anything you said. This intense fact checking, I thought was, and the fact that they didn't juxtapose any of the Kenosha footage. We're going to have some footage from Kenosha later in the day. That's just, it's just absolutely later in the show. That's absolutely horrific. In fact, maybe if AVN's got that doing some of the talk before other clips, you can see what happened in Kenosha. Am I correct? It was MSNBC, I think, the earliest that came in at 11:45 with any of the reports from Kenosha. And that was not when Kenosha was first starting. Kenosha was actually started earlier, so right. they delayed it. But I think the fact-checking, and we ought to get to that. Let's go through it, but I want to get to how they actually jumped in on Don Jr., I think, about the fact-check. Raheem.
Yeah, and just to that point, what did we talk about last week? The Democrats didn't try and put anything in terms of the logos, the logic,
yes.
The points, the policy
detail
in the thing. And so you couldn't even fact check them if you would have wanted to. There was nothing
amazing.
to fact check
that's an amazing point.
in the Democrat convention.
Wow, it was so light.
The rationale behind fact checking the Republican Party last night was because there were facts being mentioned. They had all three parts of this. They had the pathos. You heard it in the voices of the Cubans, who had fled, and the Venezuelans who had fled. You had the logos, you had policy, and you had ethos. You had what's at the heart of all of this and why, the distinction between good and evil.
And not only that, I think they're maniacal. Like, it wasn't just that they were fact checking; it was what they were maniacally fact checking. They were going after Trump's promises and the promises that he had kept or claimed to keep. So we know that the Democrats and the machine is very worried about this point getting across, that here is Donald Trump, a politician who made. Not a politician, but in his capacity as a politician, made promises and kept them. And that's what led to their nitpicking of those promises live while that's being conveyed.
So the two things is, and that's the old whiteboard in our war room in the West Wing, right? The old whiteboard is what he said, what he promised, and what he did. He's a man of action. Remember, now comes the hour of action. I think was right out of the inaugural address. Here's the other thing I found interesting. We only got a minute to go. We've got Bill McGinley next. Here's what I found interesting also. On the pandemic, he went right after it. Hey, my handling of the pandemic is fine. Boom. Tell me what you got. Boom, boom, boom. And got into some specifics about the pandemic. Had the first line workers there. Mm-hmm. The Democrats last week, I think, as I'd said on Maria Bartiromo to kick it off, go to what their policies are, because then you're going to see the difference. They kept it at a level of essentially orange man bad. Right, all week. Yep. And the best thing they had on the pandemic, and ladies and gentlemen, and particularly the Bernie Democrats and other people that listen to this, the news producers listen to this, and their big solution for the thing was Joe Biden's March 25th plan for and as Jack Maxey's going to tell you about what we know scientifically, remember, we're evidence-based, we're science-based, we're data-based. You see that? Okay, look, we're going to go to a break. We have Bill McGinley next. A lot to go through, tons of clips.
I want to say one thing about last night. Is I thought Kimberly Guilfoyle could have been a bit louder. I couldn't hear her speech.
I thought Kimberly did. That's why it was so juxtaposed so well. She came in breathing fire, in the energy, and I got to tell you, that speech was a hammer speech. Okay, short commercial break. It's key. Hashtag War and Pandemic. Go to our Twitter feed. Also go to, we'll talk about it in a second when we get back from commercial break.
Stay tuned to get a free pan from Granite Stone. Stuck on eggs, burnt on batter. You can scrub and scrape, but you can't escape the nightmare of your sticky pans. Introducing the Granite Stone Pan, the all-new durable non-stick pan. No butter or oil needed. Watch, we melted down these sticky candies in Granite Stone, and it just doesn't stick. We cooked a half a dozen eggs, bacon, cheese, and tomato breakfast with no butter or oil, and it just doesn't stick. Look, caramels, chocolate, and cheese. Unreal for any other pan, but not for Granite Stone. It just doesn't stick. Granite Stone will be the last pan you'll ever need because it's pressed from a solid aluminum disc for even heat conduction, then coated 3 times with our durable Granite Stone finish. Granite Stone is metal utensil safe and won't scratch. And talk about non-stick. This salmon cooked skin side down with no added butter or oil just doesn't stick. This steak is perfectly seared just like the pros. And because Granite Stone is oven rated to 500 degrees, we bake this upside down pan pizza to perfection, and it just doesn't stick. Fire Flambe Delicious Cherries Jubilee. Plus it's PFOA free and 100% dishwasher safe. Call or go online to get your Granite Stone pan for the special TV discount price of just $19.99. Granite Stone is so durable it comes with a 10-year warranty. And with every order, you're going to get a Granite Stone single-serve egg pan absolutely free. It's the perfect size for personalized eggs, omelets, or frittatas that slide right out. It makes the best bacon, egg, and cheese sandwich quick. Yours absolutely free. We'll even ship your entire order free. That's right, free shipping. You get it all, an incredible value. Here's how to order.
To order, call 1-800-850-0237. That's 1-800-850-0237, or order online at buygranitestone.com. That's 1-800-850-0237. Call now.
These are our classes, our happy hours, our dates, our birthday parties, our shopping. We're learning new things.
Nice technique with that knife.
And getting in touch with things we left behind. These are our lives now. Come be a part of it online. GoDaddy is making it possible for everyone to create a website for free. Learn more at GoDaddy.com.
Time for new reading glasses? Go to Readers.com. With hundreds of styles to choose from, Readers.com has reading glasses hard to find in stores, like bifocal style readers, reading sunglasses, and computer readers. Choose from hundreds of fashionable styles and colors for under $20, all backed by our happiness guarantee. Go to Readers.com now and enter this exclusive TV coupon code at checkout to save up to 40%. That's Readers.com.
War Room Pandemic with Stephen K. Bannon.
The epidemic is a demon, and we cannot let this demon hide.
War Room Pandemic. Here's your host, Stephen K. Bannon.
We have to win. Our country is counting on it. This is the biggest. This is it. Our country can go in a horrible, horrible direction, or in an even greater direction. And before the plague came in from China, that's where we were going. We were going in a direction like we had never seen. The most successful economy in the history of our country, the best unemployment numbers in history for African American, Asian American, Hispanic American, women, college students, bad students, good students, everybody.
It hurt my soul to hear the terrible names that people call Donald. The worst one is racist. I take it as a personal insult that people would think I've had a 37-year friendship with a racist. People who think that don't know what they're talking about. Growing up in the Deep South, I've seen racism up close. I know what it is, and it isn't Donald Trump.
Okay, guys, we've got some breaking news here from the Hill. Apparently last night, the C-SPAN live stream on the first night of the Republican National Convention attracted nearly 440,000 views, making a substantial increase over the start of the Democratic National Convention, which drew only 76,000. Now, the Nielsen ratings for the night will not be out till later this afternoon.
Hold on, but you're reading Hill Talk. That's 6 times. Give me a head. If you're going to break in,
76,000 versus 440.
If you're going to step on my cold open and then take my mic away at the thing, Jack Maxey, steal your girlfriend, Jack. Is that 6X? I just want to know.
6 times the viewers on C-SPAN watch the RNC versus
and
DNC.
that's seeing the live feed all night and playing it again.
Right.
But Raheem, how big is that?
And this morning. Well, it's actually the Hill story, even though it just came out, is already behind. It's now 450,000 views, playing 76,000 views over between the RNC and the DNC, and that is huge. However, I do believe there were a lot of people last night who were very upset with how the networks were covering the RNC. Fox News was breaking in all the time with commentary from Karl Rove, as if anybody wants it. MSNBC with his fact check. CNN would go out to Wolf Blitzer and Dana Bash. So a lot of people flicked over to where they could get ceaseless commercial-free coverage, like C-SPAN.
This whole counter-production that was happening basically was definitely.
Well, the counter-production was the fact check and everything like that of MSNBC and CNN. Fox did, I think, even Gates, right? Some of the best highlights of the night were missed by having. Not that Karl Rove doesn't have things of brilliance, but they're walking through something that particularly conservatives want to see. Let's get in. Yeah, go ahead.
Just on this as well.
Yeah.
I want the audience to watch out very closely for this, though, because if that's true and people flicked off the networks and flicked over to C-SPAN or to a YouTube live stream, then when the network numbers come out, they may be lower, and the media will attack the RNC for having a low viewership.
This is what we call Raheem's getting ahead of it, right? He's getting his blocking defense. Wow, because I like that. I actually think that the TV could be quite.
I think it'll be big.
I think it'd be a big number. I think it'd be a big number. Okay, Bill McGinley. Now he was Secretary of the Cabinet in the first couple of years of the Trump administration. A senior partner over at Holtzman, has been on the impeachment, been there about Own the Vote. But I want to tell you, you've been at a number of these conventions over the past decades, and I don't want to age you, Brother McGinley, but give us your assessment of the purpose of a convention to unite. What was your takeaway from last night?
Look, content is king. I thought that day one programming, they knocked it out of the park. They told compelling stories about a lot of the accomplishments of the Trump administration that doesn't get any press, everything from the Right to Try Act to the School Safety Commission to a number of the people who are yearning to be free that have come to the shores of America and still have pride in this country. And I think that was a stark contrast to what you saw last week, where the Democrats painted a picture of America in decline. And I think the Republicans did a good job of bringing forward ordinary people, in addition to some of the all-stars of the Trump administration and his supporters, to show that America is still ascending and that our best days are yet to come. And I think that's going to resonate with a lot of people out there who may be undecided, or people who may be on the fence about whether or not to vote for President Trump. So hats off to the campaign and to the RNC for putting together a terrific program. And more importantly, hats off to the people who were courageous enough to come up and speak to the American people about the important messages and the policies that have touched their life. One in particular that I would like to point out that was really a standout last night was Andrew Pollock, a Parkland father who lost his daughter, Meadow, during that tragic shooting. What a courageous man. And for him to stand up and say, look, this is an administration, this is a president who wanted to really get to the root of the problem of school safety and some of the violence we're seeing in schools, and not typically do what, past Democratic administrations have done, which is only focus on guns and try and take away guns right. I thought it was a very courageous stance. He did a heck of a job.
I want you guys to jump in here as I ask Bill the question. Bill McGinley, joined us, former Secretary of the Cabinet. You made a point that I don't think the Democrats, and maybe they did, I want to be fair, we got to granularity into substance through story of actual people and how it affects their lives, right? Whether it was school choice, whether it was a gun issue, school safety, was it restorative judgment, justice, the point?
Yeah, restorative justice.
Restorative justice. And about socialism, they told it through personal stories. What I loved, you didn't have policymakers and politicians coming out and putting that forward, right? They were more framing devices the granularity you told through people. I think the Democrats missed a big opportunity there in telling policy. So, Bill, what are your thoughts on that? And then I want to turn it over to the team.
I thought it was an incredible storytelling exercise using real people and how the policies have had a material impact on their life. And then I thought Don Jr., Ambassador Haley, and Senator Scott came in at the end and tied it all together. Remember the context in which this convention is happening. Parents across the country are trying to figure out whether their kids are going to go back to school or do virtual learning. And schools across the country are holding conference calls and video calls with parents trying to explain why they're doing what they're doing. So when you look at what was conveyed last night, it's everything that a parent thinks about when they think about their children. Number one, they think about their health and safety. Number two, they try to think about, is this a country where they're going to have an opportunity to exceed their expectations and do better than the current or past generations? I thought last night was the building block for laying that argument down in contrast to what the Democrats said. And I think it was an interesting way and a really good way for the campaign and the president to lay out some of the compelling things that have not only happened in the past, but how we need to preserve and build upon the accomplishments of the Trump administration by giving him a second term.
Bill, this is Jack. One of the things that you said at the start that I really touched me was I think the whole thing was a positive message about how the future is going to be better. It was very Reagan-esque. And I was watching a lot of the comments last night. One of the things that kept coming up was people appreciating that they put God at the center of this whole program, that there is a spiritual power that has given us our rights in America and is the basis of our freedom. And I think that really meant something to a lot of the average people out there, because the Democratic National Convention was completely devoid of any mention of a higher power.
Yeah, Cardinal Dolan's opening prayer, he knocked it out of the park. I thought that was a terrific prayer to give a foundation for what came next in the convention.
Yeah, Bill, I just wanted to mention there as well. I mean, this really did feel like the Democrats were the tired incumbent party and the Republicans were in opposition and were all glossy. And it really reminded me of David Cameron in 2010. Now, it's not a compliment in the long run, but the production value, the thought process of how you appeal to people, all of that felt much more.
It's restoration versus revolution. The Trump revolution, I think they laid out the basics of it last night on the first night, inclusive, and now you're going to get into more detail. Before you lose your Bill, Mike Pompeo, just real quickly, he's going to talk tonight in a personal capacity from Jerusalem. It should be very powerful. They're obviously trying to run around with their hair on fire, the Democrats, with the Hatch Act. Is there anything there? Is Mike Pompeo, you don't think they'll try to pull him at the last second? You think this thing will go through? Because if he's on in a personal capacity, it'll be very powerful.
Yeah, I think it's going to go forward. I think that the State Department lawyers, and other lawyers in the administration vetted this appearance. It does break with tradition, but then we're in unprecedented times. And so, if this has been thoroughly vetted and the lawyers have signed off, I think Secretary Pompeo should deliver his important message about the accomplishments of President Trump and his personal feelings about why he supports him and serves in his administration.
We got about a minute left. I'd like to know where we stand with Own Your Vote. Are you in a better place today than you were a couple of weeks ago, or how? Just for our audience, because you become a real favorite here in talking about how we got to make the mail-in ballot work. So where do we stand?
Yeah, I think we've improved, but we're not where we need to be. One of the messages that I thought was absent from last night that I hope they weave into the presentations this evening is the fact that we need to be telling our supporters to get out there and vote, that they need to own their vote, that they need to understand all of the state election laws and the deadlines. They need to order their absentee ballots early, and they need to complete them properly. Take the time to do it. Make sure that it's got the proper postage and send it in. If you have a non-mail way of submitting your ballot under state law, then make sure that you take advantage of that as well. This is a turnout election. This is going to be about who garners the most votes, as every election is. But in a pandemic and during civil unrest, get out the vote is the coin of the realm. And this is what the campaign in the RNC needs to be focused on. So last night we had a lot of arguments about why to vote for the president, why to support Republicans. Now what we need to be doing is telling people how they can support them by getting their votes in early.
Brilliant. Thank you, Bill McGinley. We'll get your social media up in the next segment, or in this segment. Bill McGinley over at Holtzman Vogel. Own your vote. It's a turnout election. We're in return with Dr. Yan and Jack Maxey.
Hi, Hunter Ellis here for Night Hero Binoculars by Atomic Beam. These binoculars let you see anything, even in pitch black darkness. Gotcha. The secrets are powerful wide-angle atomic beam laser that reveals objects up to 150 yards away, hidden by darkness. During the day, Night Hero gives you 10 times magnification. And when the sun goes down, press the Night Bright button to see clearly in the dark. Light up garbage-eating critters or spot thieves before they even get close. Call or click now and get Night Hero binoculars with laser illumination technology for just $39.99. You'll also get a protective carrying case, yours free. Order right now and you can double it. Plus, get our best-selling atomic beam flashlight, just pay separate fee. We'll even ship them to you free. You can get it all, but you have to order now.
Call 1-800-788-1008. That's 1-800-788-1008. Or visit bynighthero.com. That's bynighthero.com. Order now.
Hello, I'm Mike Lindell, inventor of MyPillow. Thanks to your support, you've helped make MyPillow become one of the fastest growing companies in America. Over the last 12 years, you've helped MyPillow create thousands of jobs right here in the USA.
When I got MyPillow, I'm asleep almost immediately. I stay asleep at night and I wake up more well-rested in the morning.
That's why I invented MyPillow. My patented fill adjusts to your exact individual needs and helps keep your neck supported and aligned. I'm interrupting this commercial right now to give you deep discounts, not just on my pillows, but also my mattress topper, sheets, and so much more. For example, you can get body pillows regularly $89.99, only $29.99 with your promo code. With our 60-day money-back guarantee, you have nothing to lose. Sleep well, America!
For the best night's sleep in the whole wide world, visit mypillow.com.
Frustrated with heavy rubber hoses that always get tangled and easily kink? Introducing the Bionic Flex Pro hose, the super strong, super tough hose that's ultra light as well. Run over an ordinary hose and it'll easily burst, but the Bionic Flex Pro hose stays intact no matter what runs over it, because its reinforced drag-resistant commercial-grade outer polyester weave makes it tougher and stronger than ever. And its solid brass fittings are crush-proof too. Ordinary hoses kink easily and stop working, but the Bionic Flex Pro hose never kinks. It just keeps flowing strong. And while regular hoses easily get tangled, the Bionic Flex Pro hose is tangle-proof. You can get the 25-foot Bionic Flex Pro hose for just $19.95 with free shipping. But wait, order today and we'll upgrade your order to a 50-foot Bionic Flex Pro hose. Just pay a separate fee, and shipping is still free. Go now.
Call 1-800-313-8062.
War Room Pandemic with Stephen K. Bannon.
The epidemic is a demon, and we cannot let this demon hide.
War Room Pandemic. Here's your host, Stephen K. Bannon.
Hashtag War Room Pandemic in the live stream. Also now, we need you to download the podcast. Go to Apple, Spotify, anywhere you want to go. Download us, give a review. We're over 13 million, and I think we're the only place that's ubiquitous everywhere. And also as a podcast, this has this kind of scale. And the reason is we're giving you tomorrow's news today.
And it's free.
And better than that, it's free. And when I say tomorrow's news and the signal in the noise, think about yesterday, starting in Charlotte with the president's address, with Don Jr. and Nikki Haley, every aspect of the party, the Chinese Communist Party virus, President Trump, the Chinese Communist Party plague that came over here and destroyed the Strivers economy that's now on a comeback. You've got Nikki Haley calling it, a virus brought to us by the Chinese Communist Party, and you got Don Jr. CCP virus. You got every element of the Republican Party, and particularly for the Bernie folks out there and the economic nationalists that listen to this show. Where's the response? All we got over the national pulse is Chris Coons' chief of staff is now going to be the head lobbyist for Alibaba. Right? Where is the Democratic response? It just can't be orange man bad. You got to get into some granularity here. Okay. coming out and this huge controversy here because there's other things going on besides just the convention, and that is about the FDA and everything pushing forward as President Trump tries to drive this program. Trump last night, and I like this, they were aggressive about, hey, our actions on the pandemic, right, are fine. What do you got? A March 25th plan? Remember, Democrats, you're supposed to be the smart guys. It's called a learning curve, right? A learning curve. We know a lot more today, right, close to September than we did back in March. So you can't go back and put out in your convention, you put forward your March 25th plan as Biden's plan, right? And it was kind of all happy talk. Oh, more testing, mask, all this other stuff, right? So we know a lot more today. So where's the update? It just can't be Orange Man bad. But the beating heart of this, as we continue to say, and we're going to have Dr. Giuseppe Tritto on, I think, later in the week when he's back from holiday or early next week, is this virus came out of China, and now we're struggling with it. It's destroyed the economy. It's destroyed the world's economy, and we're trying to get our hands around this. We've got Dr. Yan, a defector from Hong Kong, a defector from the great Hong Kong University in the lab there that's kind of the reference lab to the labs in China. And someone who knows the facts of what happened. Jack Maxey, I want to turn over to you. Dr. Yan, thank you for joining us here on our convention coverage in War Room Pandemic.
Dr. Yan, welcome to the show, one of our favorites amongst the viewers. And we spoke a little bit before the show, so hopefully we'll have this all squared away. One of the breaking pieces of news yesterday was a 33-year-old man in Hong Kong was reinfected with the coronavirus 4.5 months after he had recovered from the last round. Now, interestingly, he had very few symptoms on the second go-round, but I want to talk to you about this idea of immunity and whether or not you think that it's going to last among people who would either get the vaccine or people who would have caught the coronavirus just naturally in the street.
Okay, thank you for having me. First, let's talk about this reinfection patient. This is a very important case report, and I think we are going to see the publication soon, but now we just have seen the news press they hold to explain the basic situation about this patient. So for months, since the COVID-19 happened, we already have the doubt that whether it will be a chronic one, like prolonged and reoccur in your body again and again, not be cleared thoroughly, or people can get reinfection after first infection thoroughly recovered and clean the pathogen. But when you meet the second type of the mutant strain, you get reinfection. So this case, it cannot exclude the possibility that SARS-CoV-2 may stay in your body for a long time under the detection shield, but you cannot detect it well, and afterward it recurs. But still, it can give you another result that yes, although you get first-time infection with one strain, but after a short while, you still can meet the other strain and again get infection. That shows us many important points. Like first, you cannot trust the herd immunity, as I mentioned before, because this herd immunity definitely, from this case, we can say the limitation, the expiry date is not long enough to protect you. The antibody lasts in your body may just for several months or even shorter. And when you meet such high mutant strain, which is circulating around our population, always generates a mutant. So you're always in a risk to face to this infection again. And the second thing is when we try to develop the vaccine, if we don't understand the mutant and the way it mutates, the trend it mutates, and don't understand the evolution situation of this virus. And also very importantly, if we don't know whether there is only one origin of the SARS-CoV-2 strain from the Wuhan lab, from China, from CCP controlled labs, you cannot have the efficient vaccine as you expected, because this will be like influenza. You always need to face high mutant strains.
Help me out here. So it's a couple of strains. Tell me about the CCP's going around now. She's going around to Philippines, other places, and you can see they're going to start dangling it over the United States. Given all that, What is the status and what's the story with this? Because it's two strands now. Am I correct that right, Jack? There's two.
There's two main strands.
Two
the
main
D614, which was the original, and
Right.
now the G614.
Okay, and so and Dr. Yan, you have been adamant that this thing came out of Wuhan and it's man enhanced, gain of function, whatever. Just for the audience, because we're crammed for time today, this vaccine that they're working on in China, is it close to working? Is it dangerous? How comfortable do you feel this thing's actually being done at any level of what the FDA or Western standards would be?
For my feeling to this vaccine produced in China, invented in China, I can tell you a basic fact which Chinese people all know. That means although the imported vaccines are more expensive than the vaccine made in China, but when people have enough money, they always prefer to get their kid or themselves inject the imported vaccine. So from this very simple fact, you can understand how Chinese people trust the made in China, made by CCP labs vaccines. And the other thing is China government, of course, we know they are the reason we have this whole pandemic. Even from the early beginning, everything can be avoided because this is come from their lab, right? And now they try to show the world using the so-called vaccine success to tell people, you should listen to me because we know how to stop this pandemic. But they never tell you and they never admit there are two risks behind. First is China government hold other strains which can be close or even far away from the SARS-CoV-2 in their lab. Because as I said, in virology lab, people never only produce one type or one strain of the virus. There are always panel of candidates, and you choose them up to your characterization and your achievement. And the other thing is Chinese government never had any successful experiment in producing or invent the human vaccine. Yes, they may have the vaccine for chicken, for ducks, but not for human. And also during the SARS time, they tried to invent the vaccine using the similar technology. These are the old techniques applied in now SARS-CoV-2 vaccines from China. The inactivated one and also adenovirus 5. These are not novel ones. They are shown to be failed before in other type of vaccine. Now, why do we expect they can be useful?
Let me cut in here for a second. You're saying they've never successfully produced a successful vaccine in this area, and they failed miserably in SARS. What about the testing? One of the things that we hear, Lao Beijing, old 100 names, the poor Chinese people are kind of, guinea pigs for the Chinese Communist Party anyway, right? They do what they want to do, a slave labor. How do is the testing, are the Chinese people safe? Can the world look and see these guys are testing? They know they don't have mass production capability. Do they have the ability to safely test? And where are the Chinese people in regards to having the CCP force these tests on them?
Okay, because under the CCP's control, what they want you to do is, the compulsory things. If you don't do it, it's related to all your family, all your career, and your retired life, your kids' future. So you have to listen to them. So for this, back to this vaccine, I can tell you that from my intelligence, already there are severe effects. Patients come to the hospital in Beijing when they injected the Chinese vaccine. And we see the report in other countries when China government gives the overseas labor workers the vaccination and the inactivated vaccination and then send them to that country. They immediately get tested for virus positive, which means either this vaccine is useless or there are a lot of virus circulating in China that everyone, although they get vaccine, they still have to carry on the pathogen before they have the immunity. And also back to the clinical trial, we can say, for example, Prof. Chen Wei, the bioweapon general in China who holds WIV since February, their lab has published papers in Lancet for twice about the safety and efficiency about their adeno 5 vaccine. But first, adeno 5 vaccine this is something we can call it. The vector is adeno5 and then they equip some S protein from SARS-CoV-2 and deliver it to human body through the vector. But the adeno5 is already shown to have pre-immunity in not only China, also around the world. It's like from the previous study show at least 30% of US people and also over 80% of over 70 to 80% of Chinese people has a pre-immunity, which means you use this vector, they cannot deliver the things to your body because this vector is rejected by your body with your immunity. It's like you want to save the you want to transfer some big furniture to your home and use a vehicle, but the vehicle cannot even go into your home. How could you deliver the furniture to your house? So this is a very important issue. And also their clinical trial 1, even if we believe their data, of course, we should not give them any credibility based on their behavior. But even if we believe that, we can say they give 3 doses of these vaccines to the patient, to the volunteers. And those volunteers in the high dose group even have 17% of the severe adverse effect. So imagine what is the mortality of this virus, even lower than that.
Dr. Yan, want to thank you very much for coming on. You've become an audience favorite here. Fantastic. I guess we stay away from the Chinese vaccine. It's another thing. It's another very dangerous. By the way, the comparison of Beijing to Taiwan in this thing, the Taiwanese have just been so spectacular. CCP has been terrible. Dr. Yan, thank you very much. I know you get big interviews coming up on BBC and other places this week. Really honored to have you on. Dr. Scarlett Yan from Hong Kong University. Okay, Jack, we'll get all into your stuff in the next segment. And we're going to go back. We have more convention coverage. We got more stuff about the CCP trying to buy your technology. All of it. Hashtag War and Pandemic live stream. Want to hear from all of you. Short commercial break. Back with the team in a moment.
Hello, I'm Mike Lindell, and as you know, my passion is to help each and every one of you get the best sleep of your life. That's why I created my new Giza Dreams bed sheets. I guarantee you they'll be the most comfortable sheets you'll ever own.
With the Giza Dream Sheets, I'm getting the best sleep of my life.
They are so soft and smooth. I never slept so good.
I fall asleep faster because I'm actually comfortable.
I started by using the world's best cotton called Giza. It's only grown in a region between the Sahara Desert, the Mediterranean Sea, and the Nile River. It's ultra soft and breathable, but extremely durable, which is why I can give you my full 10-year warranty. But I didn't stop there. My Giza sheets also include full 21-inch wide pillowcases that will fit over any pillow and deep pocket sheets that will fit over any mattress. I guarantee you the first night you sleep on my sheets, you'll never want to sleep on anything else.
Go to MyPillow.com or call the number on your screen right now. MyPillow Giza Dream Sheets are available in a variety of colors and will be the softest, most comfortable sheets you will ever own. Use the promo code and get 2 for 1 low price, plus free shipping. Giza Dreams are made with the finest, most sought-after cotton in the world. Giza cotton was once reserved for only the finest dress shirts, but is now available in Mike's Giza Dream Sheets. They feature a beautiful silky sateen weave that helps keep you cool and comfortable all night long.
With the Giza Dream Sheets, I'm getting the best rest of my life.
I love my Giza Dream Sheets. Go to MyPillow.com or call the number on your screen right now to get your very own MyPillow Giza Dream Sheets. Use the promo code and Mike will give you a very special 2 for 1 low price and free shipping. That's right, get 2 for 1 low price and free shipping. Call or go online now.
For the best night's sleep in the whole wide world, visit MyPillow.com.
Do you have any idea how your mattress affects your body and how well you sleep? Is it too hard or too soft, causing you to wake up with sore shoulders, back, or hips? Are you uncomfortable because you're too hot or too cold? Now you can get the total body support you need and the better sleep you want with the new MyPillow mattress topper.
Hello, I'm Mike Lindell. When I invented my new MyPillow mattress topper, I made it to have everything you'd ever want in a topper. My mattress topper helps give you the support you need, helps relieve your pressure points, and regulates regulates your body temperature for you as an individual. It comes with a 10-year warranty. You can wash and dry the cover. It's made in the USA, and I back it with my 60-day money-back guarantee.
My Pillow Topper delivers on its promise to give me a better night's sleep.
Call now to get your very own MyPillow mattress topper. Use the promo code and Mike will give you 30% off and 2 standard MyPillows absolutely free. Order now.
I personally guarantee it's going to change your bed into the most comfortable bed you'll ever own.
War Room Pandemic with Stephen K. Bannon.
The epidemic is a demon, and we cannot let this demon hide.
War Room Pandemic. Here's your host, Stephen K. Bannon.
Dr. Yan, what a hero she is. And by the way, so she's talking to us now about there's 2 strands. We're going to have more on this tomorrow. Jack Maxey, we're going to get some other of our top advisors and the top people that we talk to all the time are going to come in tomorrow and talk about this 2 strands, what it means, right? What it means for you. Remember, it was Zero Hedge did this great analysis that, hey, in the trends we got going here, you could have no new infections by November 3rd, right? And all we saw from the Democrats, and look, we want the Democrats to be, this is about the country. I said country first here. Where is their plan besides the March 25th plan? Want to see what they've got, what's the latest they've got off all the learning. There's some controversy, I guess, out of the FDA. There's controversy on this plasma. I'm still to the point, and we're going to do this starting tomorrow. I think we're going to try to get Zelenko on and others. Hydroxy as a preventative, to me, hey, that's the hill we should die on, right? If you got that now, and I realize I got other things coming out, but look, one of the things is, and they're pushing the vaccine out of Oxford. I think if you look at the numbers, Raheem and guys and Jack, if you look at the numbers, they're a third of the American people are just jiggy about this whole thing about a vaccine to begin with, right? Particularly one that's rushed. And we've seen in China, and Dr. Yan just told it, he says, hey, you don't volunteer for these things. They're compulsory. And if you don't do it, your family gets a problem. And she says there's been some big problems with this, right? And now I realize that's China. You can't compare that to the West. But I think there's some uncertainty.
Well, they know Nancy Pelosi likes to call us the enemy of the state.
Well, do we have that? I got to tell you, we got some breaking news here. I guess not breaking news, but it's been up, but it's pretty shocking. And this is coming from the honey badger's been known to throw out a zinger or 2. I'm actually pretty shocked about this. Can AVM play the Nancy? Do we have the master political strategist, Nancy Pelosi?
We do. Let's roll clip 18.
Trying to interfere in our election. But they're not the only ones. We take an oath to protect and defend the Constitution from all enemies, foreign and domestic. And sadly, the domestic enemies to our voting system and our honoring our Constitution are right at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue with their allies in the Congress of the United States. But again, let's just get out there and mobilize, organize, and not let the president deter anybody from voting. And again, support the postal system, which is election central. They're doing everything they can. Suppress the vote with your actions, scare people, intimidate by saying law enforcement will be there, diminish the role of the postal system in all of this. It's really actually shameful. Enemies of the state trying to interfere in our election.
Enemies of the state?
Enemies of the state.
That's the 1600 president and the Republican Party on the Capitol Hill?
That woman isn't coming to your house with a vaccine, demanding you take it, all right? Enemy of the state, remember the phrase, enemy of the state was a movie where the government pursued the guy who found out too much, who knew too much, right? That's what she just invoked.
This is like her deplorable moment, and what's most disgusting about it is she opens up describing her oath to the Constitution. And for those of us who took that oath, the defense is against enemies, both foreign and domestic. So she is essentially calling Donald Trump and the Republican Party domestic enemies of the Constitution of the United States based upon her oath. This, to me, is outrageous, and the American people could see who the enemies are. They're Biden's voters in the streets setting fire to America.
Well, we don't normally get on people's rhetoric is that heated, given that we've had some hot rhetoric before. However, she's not talking about the marginalia. She's not talking about conservative groups. She's not talking about the people that show up in the peaceful demonstrators down the Virginia when they came out for the weapons ban and the gun grab, the John Fredericks Radio Network audience. She was talking. She said enemies of the state are those people at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue, which is the White House, and their allies on Capitol Hill. These are the highest elected federal officials of the Republican Party. The party you saw last night in living color with was it Krasik? Vernon Jones, a Democrat, Herschel Walker, who I thought was one of the stars of the evening, the breakout star, Senator Tim Scott. And I mean, she's not pointing her fingers at the Proud Boys, right? She's not pointing her fingers at the some of the rabble rousers. She's pointing her fingers. She's not pointing her fingers to the people that went to the Michigan House, I think, and to the Wisconsin House, up armored as their constitutional rights were. Right? She's pointing her fingers to the President of the United States, his staff, and the senior elected officials on Capitol Hill. This is what it shows me. For the first time, I think Nancy, that's a tell. She's nervous. This was a ramble, and they're nervous about the vote. They're nervous about the energy. They're nervous about the enthusiasm. They're talking about suppressing the vote already. If you think, ladies and gentlemen, November 3rd is going to settle this, you got another thing coming. That's just a post on the road here. It's restoration versus Trump revolution, right? And the Trump revolution is America first, driver's economy. You heard it lay out versus the Obama. We've seen the Obama 8 years. You're gonna get that now with a cultural revolution aspect to it. Mr. Raheem Kassam, looks like you want to jump in.
Well, yeah, I mean, just want to remind people, because we never got to it on the show, but that's exactly what Nigel told me in our interview last week, is that the election isn't the end. They're going to fight every single thing 10 times harder, with 10 times more taxpayer resources, 20 more committees on the Hill to fight every little detail about that election so that they can reinforce their restoration project. Right? And I just have the question, is Joe Biden going to tell Kim Klacik that she ain't black? Is Joe Biden going to tell Vernon Jones that he ain't black? Is Joe Biden going to stand nose to nose with Herschel Walker and tell him he ain't black? I'd like to see that moment.
Well, those I tell you, they were breakout stars last night. I mean, each one. Vernon Jones was fantastic. Kim, who's running for Congress up in Baltimore, were fabulous, and her videos are fabulous. I mean, this is
the most viewed congressional ad, I think, in history.
Was her? It was incredible. I mean, just so professionally done, right? And you know, she's bootstrapping that campaign. So, and what a great breakout moment for her last night. Just a superstar. But no, now you called enemies of the state. So. This is a hashtag War Room Pandemic. We want to hear all your voices. We want to get into the live stream. Tell us what's going on. Give us your thoughts, your observation. Got a big next hour and get back to the CCP, but we got so much more convention. I want to get some of these highlights, some of these polls in here. Also, Jack's got much more to report on the pandemic. We got to talk about that. The pandemic's what got us here. Remember, these aren't even really conventions. They're kind of TV shows, right? You know, the Democrats made a PBS telethon snooze fest, and the Republican it has some juice and some spark and some glow. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be back with the next episode in just a moment.
The hottest new razor is taking the men's grooming world by storm. And if you don't have it, you need it. Micro Touch Solo, the hyper-advanced full-body razor that trims, shapes, edges, and even shaves with micro precision. And it's totally safe to the touch. Go solo for full body control with one tool. No nicks, bumps, or ingrown hairs. Edge beards and goatees with one touch. Clean your neck, barber shop perfect. And check this out. Snap on the guide to tame growth and perfectly shape your full beard. And keep new growth stubble trimmed exactly to your style. And look, the Solo Full Body Groomer trims precisely the length of hair you want. Snap off the guide and remove unwanted hair anywhere in seconds. What makes Solo different than your ordinary razor? Dual-sided German stainless steel blade. Shave up or down at 200 microstrokes per second. The Ultra Flex pivoting head contours perfectly to you for precise results. 3 custom grooming guides for control of exact length and shape. And a built-in LED light so you never miss a spot. Solo is so precise, you need no creams, no soaps, and no water. Ditch the old man clippers and toss the scissors. You've got to go solo. Call 1-800-709-9777 or go online at microtouchsolo.com and get yours now for only $19.99. Complete with German stainless steel blade, pivoting head, built-in spotlight, and 3 custom grooming guides. Everything you see here for just $19.99. The all-new MicroTouch Solo Full Body Groomer. The one tool that does it all.